Okay, so we come to the final verse of the week, verse 5, Acts 1:5. And again, if you're just learning the letters, the final slide of this video has a link to a video where you can see the sounds and the letters. But go ahead and see if you can hammer this out and pronounce it. Okay, here's how I pronounce it. Hoti Ioannes men ebaptisen hudati, humes de en pneumati, baptisthesaste hagio ou meta polas tautas hemeros. Okay, how'd you do? So now go ahead and try to hammer out the translation if you're that far along. See how you can do. See if you can recognize any words. Okay, here's my translation. Now, hoti often can mean that, or it can mean because. But in this particular case, the verse right preceding this says something like, remain in Jerusalem and await the promise that you heard of me. And then he quotes the promise. So this is a quote from Jesus. John baptized with water, but you with Holy Spirit will be baptized not many days hence. Something like that. So the hoti here, the closest translation would be a that. Which you heard of me, that John baptized with water. But you could also, so if hoti can mean that and because, it can also kind of be like a quotation mark, in which case you don't even have to translate it with a that. You can just put quotes here. Which you heard of me, quote, John, on the one hand, baptized with water, but y'all with Spirit will be baptized, Holy Spirit, not after many these days. Let me point out a few things that you probably know, but if you're a beginner, these are the kinds of things you can pick up whether you know much Greek or not. So men, this word, and de, this word, they go together. In fact, we might say they correlate. They're correlatives. Men, de. Men is on the one hand, and de is on the other hand. So on the one hand, on the other. So on the one hand, John baptized with water. But on the other, Jesus baptizes with Holy Spirit. The other thing about men and de is they're procrastinators. They never come where they're supposed to. They're usually one word late. And so we call that, the word for that is post-positive. So even though this is after Ioannes, you might translate it before. That, or quote, on the one hand, John baptized with water. But, on the other hand, you with Spirit, Holy, will be baptized. Okay, I guess I can go on to the interlinear. So I've already kind of given you a little bit of this first line. John, on the one hand, baptized with water. This is called a dative of means, or an instrumental of means. John baptized by means of water. He used water. So this is a dative, as I show on the next slide. The parsing of this on the next slide we'll talk about as well, but a nu with an epsilon in front of it is almost always a movable nu. It's completely meaningless. It's just to help the sound flow. Ebaptisenudity. You see how it flows better with the ebaptisenudity, not nudity, but the nu makes this flow better. If you had to say ebaptisehudity, you'd have to stop. It's more awkward. The nu makes it easier. That's called a movable nu. It's completely meaningless. Toss it out. Epsilon is a very common third-person singular past tense ending. Third-person singular means that the subject is either a he, a she, or an it. Well, the subject is John. That's a he. So, ding, that works. Sigma epsilon indicates an aorist third-person singular. And usually they put an augment on the front of the word if it's aorist indicative, which means that you're making a statement. And so that epsilon is what we call an augment. So this is aorist, active, indicative, third singular, from the verb for baptize, baptizo, which is on the next slide. Hudati is dative. I know it because of a song, Arkonantas T. That song comes in the dative part. So anyway, by means of water. Okay. But y'all, now the you doesn't have to be there. We don't need the you because baptisthesis that has a you in it. This ending, stha is a second person plural or a y'all ending. I have a song for it. Luomai, lue luetai, luametha, luesthe, second person plural. So I knew the subject was going to be you or y'all, you plural, because of the sthe. So I don't need the humes. The humes adds some emphasis. But you, it implies the contrast. John, baptized with water, but you got a baptism and you got a baptism. There's a kind of a special, it implies that the baptism with Jesus is a better baptism than the baptism with John. But y'all, with Holy Spirit, will be baptized. Notice that Greek, and of course this is considered good Greek. We would say, "What's wrong with you, Luke?" or whoever you are. But notice with Spirit and then the Holy Spirit. The Holy is not only after the Spirit, which is bad enough for us English people, but the verb will be baptized is put in between them. Luke's trying to be fancy schmancy. So with Holy Spirit. As I already said, this is second person plural. The sigma right before the ending tells you that it's future. And the epsilon tells you that it's indicative, which means it's a statement. You will be baptized. It's a statement. The will, so y'all comes out of the stha, will comes out of the sigma, and then theta eta tells you it's passive, be. So y'all, stha, will, be, the, baptized, baptizo. So anyway, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And I think this is, again, a dative of means. By means of Holy Spirit, you'll be baptized. And often means in, but don't have a simplistic sense of it because it can mean a lot of different things. It can mean in, by, among, with, and so forth. Okay. Not after many these days. Not good English. We'll have to play with it. Not after these many days. We'll have to come up with something else. But that's an adverb, not. Mata is a preposition. Palos is a adjective. Many. These, this is a demonstrative pronoun, is what that's called. And then, of course, days. So there you have the interlinear translation. Not a lot of parsing today. First of all, it's direct discourse. When it's a quote, that's called direct discourse. I've already pretty much given the parsing of this, but here you have it written out. The new means nothing. The epsilon tells me it's third person singular. It means the subject's a he, she, or it. The sigma tells me it's aorist in this particular case. Sigma epsilon is an aorist ending. Baptizo, and then the augment confirms that it's aorist. Baptisthesis, then. I already parsed this one. Stha tells me it's second plural, y'all. Epsilon tells me it's indicative. Sigma tells me it's future. Theta eta tells me it's passive. And then baptizo is there. And then I did go ahead and parse this noun, hudati. It's dative because arkonantas it's in the dative spot of the song. I had to look up what it was because with third declension nouns you can't tell the gender usually on the basis of the form. With other nouns you can, but not with third declension nouns. And it's singular. That's a dative singular ending. And it's from hudor, not hodor, but hudor, water, hydro. You can hear hydro in it. Okay, so again, let me remind you of these places to begin to learn a little Greek. A review of all of Greek real quick in this video, and then the Greek letters and songs to memorize the endings. Thank you.